peanut butter.
Stop! I just started recording.
Don't edit it out.
Apparently. Let
Leave
everybody know the
it.
glory of peanut butter.
Exactly.
Said you'd
Or
start.
Nutella.
No, we're already out in the plans.
Oh, I know.
You just have to walk
That's not
out.
what I'm talking about.
Oh, to restart
I
the.
figured.
Alright, so I was to say,
topic,
what base do we have to put on here? So the concept, obviously, and then the rules we've established.
Well, so yeah, so the initial the initial question, I guess, was of if you were stuck permanently in any of the Dark Souls games, we're gonna exclude Bloodborne and Demon Souls. So Dark Souls 1. Should we include it as Scholar of the First Sin or the first?
Well,
I feel
we're
like
including
Scholar of the
DLCs.
First Sin is technically
Okay.
the definitive edition. I feel like you're
Yeah.
asking more for
Yeah,
end
so the
replacements and
rules
stuff
by-
instead of like DLCs, obviously. I would include DLC in all of them. I don't think that's really much of a question.
Yeah, because you're in the entire world. So if you had to be stuck in any of the Dark Souls games, which would it be? And the conditions are that you are going in as you are right now, and you could just as easily, be there to the throne or link the fire, but you could also just end up hollowing and becoming, that enemy in the Crucifixion Woods who's just, carrying around a giant tree trunk, stabbing everything.
Or I want to be
someone who
the
just
one
got
that's got
captured.
one on its back and gets pissed off.
Yeah, or you could
I know
be
it's got
someone
a
in
name, I
the,
can't think of it.
the huntsman,
Yeah,
or traveling through
Huntsman's
Huntsman's Copse, and the Iron King has his soldiers capture you because you have the Dark Sigil or Dark Sign, and you get fucking put on a stake. You're just
You know how
done,
much that would suck
know?
if you were a female during the Dark Souls 1 universe? Seath would kidnap you, straight up.
Yeah. Well,
If you are not
were
strong enough?
a maiden, a priestess or whatever.
Yeah, if you were a faith
'Cause he
build and
only
you were
was
not strong enough,
getting-
you're dead.
If you were,
I was gonna
on the
say,
Way of
if
Light,
they
you
also
would be
force your
dead.
hand,
Oh,
you
Way
can
of
just
Light in
die
general.
and they don't capture you.
Yeah.
God, I would love to
Um,
be able to meet Solaire. That'd be insane.
Well, in the sense that you would.
Yeah, my pick is Dark Souls 1. I want to start from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, but you were going in as you are, So you have to deal with, beating the asylum demon with,
Jesus.
Yeah, we're gonna say you're going in deprived because you weren't a soldier or anything in the past. You weren't.
You don't know me.
You weren't
I have
anything.
martial arts training.
You were just, going in as you are. So you're technically going in deprived.
I have martial arts training, so I'm technically going in with my bare fists against the asylum demon.
So you're a monk?
I was gonna say I'm a monk, which is a class that doesn't even exist. That's why you know
Yeah.
when I eventually reach
Yeah.
Dark Souls 3, I will absolutely meme the hell out of it, and I will definitely use the Demon's Fist. Dark Souls 2, Bone Fist. Let's go.
Yeah, so you
Yeah,
have
but
to
not
go
till
through
early
there.
in voice.
You'll find, a club, I guess, when you're going through that long hallway. in the
plank shield.
asylum.
Oh my
And the plank shield, you're gonna
God,
be
that's so
wearing that cloth,
pathetic. I would use a meat
You're
shield before I use a
starting-
plank shield. I would
You're
literally pick up a
starting from Square
hollow.
one. Yeah, you're starting from
Yikes.
square one. Whichever game you choose, you were starting as deprived. Because you don't have any history in this world, so you gotta start as the most, logical for your situation. No, I guess maybe you could keep the clothes you have on then, but,
Oh god,
It looked
We'll
pretty
give you
fucking weird
that.
compared to everybody else.
that's
Yeah,
okay.
you'll look
My
fucking
hoodie won't
weird,
last
but
that
also,
long,
At
anyways.
least you'll have,
Dude, I'll go in
just
with
a
my
cloth.
I will go in with my Solaire hoodie, and I will meet Solaire. It's gonna be torn up and bloodied. Well, that's the thing is
Yeah.
every time you revive, your armor's perfectly fine. So
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
come back
Not
and my hoodie would. Well, yeah. Well,
Not in.
that's
Well,
fine
but
because I'm starting in
everything
Dark
still
Souls 1.
does degrade. So you
Yeah,
would have
it would.
to have
As long I would bring it to Andre and he'd be like, "Can you repair this?" And he's just like, "What are you talking about? I can't repair this." So I'm like, "Please, just try. Just put it on there and it'll be fine." He smacks it with a hammer once and it just repairs back to
You can
normal.
hammer the gold hemmed set, I think.
Yeah, you can.
So and that's all cloth. So
I would
you're
get to
going
Solaire
in
right
with
after the
pride.
Tauros demon. Right after the Tauros demon, I'd get to
Yeah.
him. I'd be bloodied, and I'd be like, "Wait, I can't meet him like this." And I would literally throw myself off the cliff, and come back with a perfectly fine set of my hoodie. And he'd be like, "Wow,
But you wouldn't
magnificent
be
armor
able-
you have there."
The beginning of the game is going to be immensely difficult for you because you're going into prep. You're as you are, at the time. So you haven't even got to invest points or your intellect into or souls into anything. You are as you are. So you've got to somehow fucking kill that giant
I'd
ass
say,
demon.
I wonder what the asylum demon smells like.
Yeah, you would
That
get a
cannot
full
be
whiff of
pretty.
that. Yeah.
I imagine
You're going-
80% of the game
Just
can't
the
smell good.
entire asylum.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
everything
pretty
is
much
like
where I was gonna
fucking
go. Is that
die heaven.
everything smells.
I
God,
was-
can you imagine the
You're
You're gonna
catacombs?
feel the heat of the Lost Isolate. Keep that in mind. That
Oh,
by then maybe
God.
your nerve endings.
I was to say,
are
by
going
that
to
point,
be,
we're good.
fried a bit.
The moment you
And
step
then
into
you'll have the
lava,
lava or the or whatever the ring for the centipede.
the
demon
charred
was,
orange ring, just for that fight
But you were
alone,
gonna have to
you would
actually
literally
fight
lose a
that.
foot.
Without that first.
Oh, exactly.
If
You have to.
You want to fucking get
God,
through
you
that.
have to jump over the lava, which I do every time, but you still get clipped a little bit. I don't think there's a way to perfectly jump
Yeah.
over the first gap or the second gap, technically.
Yeah.
That would immediately scorch every nerve ending that touches it. You would never get
You're
feeling
gonna
back in that
feel
area.
it. But in that instance, you would feel it.
Oh,
You're
God,
not gonna
yeah.
you're not gonna melt or whatever, but you're gonna
Oh, my
fucking
God.
feel it.
That was like part of the rules we're establishing is the fact that in reality, eventually you're gonna stop feeling these things. Your nerves will be so fucked up. You come back alive each time you die, sure, but you're eventually just gonna get so tired of feeling it, and your body, like your nerves. That's the one
just gonna
stipulation
get
I say.
used to
At
it.
nothing else we're gonna give is the fact that eventually your body will be so used to it that your nerves are just dead and you're not gonna feel it anymore. Which is just as much a
Yeah,
problem
but
as it is a
It's
gift.
gonna take a long time.
Just as much a problem as it
can't
is a
be just
gift.
like a
Hello.
a couple deaths or whatever. It's gotta
You just
gotta
walk
have
up and
to
let the first hollow slash
gone
you a
through
couple
a
times.
lot.
We're good.
because keep in mind that when you go back to the bonfire, you're resetting at that state that you previously were, and when you use a humanity to reverse hollowing, you are restoring everything as it was. So
I
it's
can't wait
gonna-
to taste Estus.
Yeah, you would get to deal with that, or get to taste Estus, but yeah. So walking through it, you're going through the cry, starting from the beginning. You're gonna die like hundreds of times before you fucking kill that asylum demon. And keep in mind that if you want to try that plunge attack, you're gonna feel it when you land. It's gonna hurt your legs until
Oh, can you
eventually
imagine
you start
the
to
drop
get
in
used
the
to it,
Nito?
Yeah.
The drop into like
oh my
Midir.
God, that's gonna hurt like hell. Yeah.
But that's like
Oh, but
going
Midir's
by
gonna-
game
you'll
mechanics.
survive.
Your health doesn't get touched, but you're gonna hear your knees just.
Yeah, you're gonna hear. Yeah, they're not gonna.
There's no
crumble.
pain there.
You're
You're just gonna be so mentally damaged.
Yeah.
Well, actually, in the
Just
first game, you do
the
take falling
numbing
damage.
feeling.
In the first game,
Yeah.
the bosses
Any
make you take
instance that you-
falling damage.
Yeah, any instance
Oh,
that you
that's
take fall damage,
sick.
you're gonna feel it. Your legs aren't gonna break, but you're gonna feel the sensation.
Oh,
of
that's
them
so
breaking.
sick. Imagine running around in like Havel's armor and just taking the plunge into the Four Kings.
And you gotta keep in mind that, like with Havel and stuff, you're gonna feel the weight of that, until you've built up enough strength to be that strong.
I wonder
know?
what sorcery feels like. If you get shot by a soul arrow, what does that feel like?
Yeah. Yeah, what does that sensation feel like? Yeah.
Because we
It's
already
probably-
know
I
what
imagine it's
burning
like some
feels
kind
like.
of burning
Pyromancy's not
sensation.
special, yeah. But is there a special property to it?
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. You know,
It
that's
numbs
not
you up
something
and
you
then your
typically
entire
think
body
about.
just
What does
dies.
sorcery actually feel like?
Other
Yeah,
stipulations. If you were to start in 1 or 2, let's say, and you make it to the next game's world, like you live that long, you have not hollowed out, you have not technically fully died, then you
yeah.
can keep some of the mechanics from the first game. Like if I made it from 1 to 2, I could keep my armor and shit.
You
But
could
if
keep
I
your
ever
intended pyromancy, for
pyromancy,
instance.
hell yeah, I could keep my gargoyle helm. But if I ever
Yeah.
decide I want to respec in the world of 2 or 3 using soul vessels or whatever the hell we just the tongues in 3, right? Then
Yeah.
you have to
So
start
into
abiding by that
rules of
world's
it.
rules that you have not changed over to yet. Like you would lose the old equipment. You would technically be determined that pyromancy would have already lost its flavor no matter what. What did we decide about
Yeah.
SP? Was that something that just had to be abided by?
How it will work is that as the world changes, there would be explanations
Oh,
for
yeah,
it, and that like
pyromancy.
with magic, you know, it just the core knowledge of it and the effectiveness of it and the teachings of it just kind of wane, and you know the pure source of magic that Seath had spent researching and stuff just kind of wanes away, and it just changes, you know, to the point where the way their magic is by, you know, drinking the whatchamacallit estus for
Ashen.
Ashenestus,
Ashen
yes.
Estus,
Blueberry.
that they had to yeah, blueberry
Back in my
flavor
day, we didn't need to
Ashen Estus.
drink this Estus to cast
Yeah.
spells.
But I was to say, I thought that
I
was
guess we'd
that was
also-
the point. That was that if I was to have started in 1, made it all the way to 3, unless I respect, I have such a fundamental knowledge of it that I don't necessarily
with
need that.
pyromancy,
With
yeah.
well, that's
you
all I'd
would
rock. I
have-
don't do sorcery. I do pyromancy, baby. I
You
want my
would-
hand
for
to be
pyromancy,
scorched
you
every
would
time I do
have
something.
that that knowledge to
My
you know,
ascended flame. My
you would
prized
have
possession.
the pyromancy ascended flame in that instance, because you would know the core teachings. Now the flame itself, over all those centuries and stuff, would dwindle in its effectiveness just because of the chaos dwindling, as we've seen with Dark Souls 3, where all the demons, their flames are just, you know, cinders at that point, you know? They're all crusted, and it's just
Dude, that'd be wild
fading
though,
away,
going from
so-
killing the asylum demon, the stray demon, and then the fire sage. You live all the way to Dark Souls 3 and you see that pathetic one hanging out on top of the swamp. Yeah, he's just sitting up there and he's
Yeah.
basically just a rock at that point. You could just crumble his legs. I would just sit next to him and be like, "Man, that's rough, man. I feel it." I remember when
Now,
I
keep
killed
in
probably your
mind
great
that
great 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 great
if
great
you-
yeah.
if you mess up any of the quest lines,
Oh god, there's
it's
no going
messed
back.
up. So, yeah, if you lose, now we'll have to, with the rules, we would have to make it so that you can't like use bugs or exploits or stuff. You know, like using poison breath through the wall.
That was to say, you're telling me I can't
No.
poison
You
breath
would
through the
have
wall?
to- No,
That's not a
you
bug,
have to-
though.
It's not a
that's
bug.
an
It's a
exploit.
feature.
That's to say,
No,
that's
shut
just
the
how the
fuck up.
spell works.
No.
I was gonna say it's not like they patched it.
So, you would have to actually do the quest line.
God,
as
I'd
it
have to
was
donate.
invented, you know?
I'd have to
Or you could
donate humanity.
Humanity, yeah. You can alternatively donate humanity.
Thank you for the
Or no,
door.
you-
I
actually,
no
think
longer
that is
serve
how
you.
Save it. Yeah, you
Yeah, that's the
you
only
would
way.
have to dedicate humanity.
I'd be like, all
Keep
right,
in mind that, you know, by Dark Souls 3, you know, Quilana and, you know, the Fair Lady, they're gonna be
stop.
in the demon
Quilana
realm.
will
They're just gonna
always be alive
dead.
in my heart.
You know, as will the Fair Lady for me, you know? I fucking was a devout chaos servant. You know, and then they're just like, oh no, we kill her
Yeah, about
off
that.
'cause we're
We don't like
mean.
you. The first game's
Yeah.
done nothing to us.
You know, so you gotta make sure those people live through, and who knows what's gonna happen with Solaire if you save him.
Dude, I would just.
'Cause-
I feel like alone, the concept of being able to fight Gwyn with Solaire by my side I would probably end up hollowing at that point. I'd be like, I want to live until the end of the world. That's gonna
that
keep,
actually begs the question.
that's what's gonna keep
are
me
you
going.
allowed to invade? Would
It's a
we
mechanic, yeah.
introduce the aspect of invading? You know, you could just other, you know, Yeah, it's worlds or whatever as they.
It's a mechanic.
Call
That's the
them.
thing, is there are many
Yeah.
worlds and some converge where they do. Time is complicated, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that also means
So
even
we
if
were
you
all
die,
in there, we could
die.
invade each other.
Jesus Christ. That means even if you
It's
die,
Starbro,
die.
bro.
I'd be so angry to end up running into somebody I knew. If you die, die, but you have
Yeah.
a summon sign down somewhere, you do technically live on to an extent.
Yeah. To an
However,
extent,
however
Yeah.
that would work, because that's never fully explained in how it would work. You're dead, but your sign's still there, so a
Yeah.
part of you is still there, because that makes sense. What?
Now we're still bringing up the topic. We're still unsure of how the dark sign works in between
Jesus.
cycles. If if someone links the fire, it doesn't even have to be you. If someone gets, if you're, tell you how you would, do it, Chris. With the whole.
Oh, because I'm a petty bitch. Okay, so I
Yeah.
was like, well, we know what happens, that there are cycles in Dark Souls no matter what. Somebody will link it, somebody won't, but that cycle is always going to happen. That if somebody chooses not to, somebody will try to come around and do it regardless. So I was like, I'm
Yeah,
going to be a
Frog
petty
will find
bitch.
someone else to do
Yeah,
it.
I'm going to be a petty bitch who goes, kills Gwyn, and they're like, all right, my lord, please link the fire. No. And they'd be like, I guess we serve you anyways, my lord. And then I would stand on the outside, and I would wait for people who come to link the fire. And they'd be like, hey man, how long have you been here? And I'd be like, well, a while, waiting for somebody worthy. And they're like, well, I guess it's my time to go kill him. I'd be like, I guess it is. As soon as they walk past me, that bitch is getting backstabbed. Nobody links that fucking fire. Because if they link that fire, I lose my ability to be undead. Unless I start sacrificing humanity like Patches, which is what we figured out as well.
Yeah.
So
and that's
unless I
what
want to
we're
eternally
assuming
farm
is that-
humanity,
Yeah.
oh, that was my next
Yeah,
step, is I
from
could
what
also
we're
take it a step
getting
further.
at is that-
If somebody links it, I was like, I'm going to start an old folks home. And I'm going to take the humanity of every old person that dies there, and I'm going to live eternally between cycles. Until the curse comes back
Yeah.
up, and then I can abandon that.
Yeah, from what our understanding is, we're assuming that in between, we didn't look too much into it. We only, glossed the wiki, but our understanding is that the Dark Sun, recedes, is always technically there because of Gwyn's curse on all of humanity, but
What a guy, by
it
the way.
recedes when the fire is linked. Yeah, exactly.
I can't tell you how
Um,
eager I would be to parry him.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I might let myself
but-
die a few times just to make sure I can do it on the first swing. Also, do we have an Excalibur? We have an
Yes.
Yeah.
Excalibur. Oh god.
Yeah. Again. But you would. The way we assume the Dark Side would work is that with how Patches and like Andre and whoever else, like, or Gilligan,
God, Gilligan.
they've they survived to the
Yeah,
as
Gilligan
long as they
technically lived.
did because they were just using
Kill three.
humanity or effigies or embers to keep themselves alive in between cycles. Because it's still the curse works as it's causing you've died already, so
Good Lord,
it's
yeah.
just
Several
it's
times.
keeping you
Too
alive, or it's reanimating you. You are always dead. You've just been reanimated.
Have either of you seen Black Panther?
Um,
Nope.
Shit.
I've watched a bunch of clips of it.
Have
so
you
I know
seen the main
entire
villain?
premise? Yeah, I've seen the main villain.
Have you seen his skin?
Yeah, yeah. that was
How?
fucking
Okay,
weird.
so the main villain, because Nick doesn't have context, Killmonger. Good lord, it's such an outdated name, by the way. Every
No
single
idea what the
time
fuck
he
that
killed a
is.
man, he marked himself. He did like a skin plucking, tattooing thing, so his body, the skin,
Oh.
is like raised essentially, marks across his entire body. Every time I would die, I would have to mark myself to keep track.
Yeah,
I'm not serious
was
about
gonna-
that one, but would you be able to even keep track of the amount of times you would die across your lifetime? That'd be insane.
Yeah, after all those centuries.
I was going to
going
propose an
by all the
alternative
kingdoms.
that would have made me understand better, and that was marking yourself every time you killed a silence.
That works too.
Oh my god.
But yeah,
Hey,
like,
I
keep
don't
in
even
mind that
want to
you're-
hear that sigh about
You're
that one.
watching
No.
all these kingdoms go by. Like, hey, you've got to be the person who just fucking writes down
Oh,
everything.
that- yeah,
or
that
you
was
could
the
just,
thing. I
not
wanna keep that
care and
history.
Be like Patches.
I
Yeah,
would
I would instantly.
I
go
wanna
and
keep
do
that
that.
history
I
for
would
my own
record
self.
everything.
Like, if the world
Yeah,
wants it, sure, but
just
no one
so you
necessarily needs
know.
to discover I've lived this long. But I'm more out of just curiosity. I'd love to be able to read back those stories. The Kingdom of Lordran. God, they were fucked up. They
Now,
tried
here's the
fighting some
thing.
crazy type
Do
of
you-
giants.
Yeah. Do you go
Volume
and, or would you go and like spend centuries building your own castle or something?
No.
You know that shit's gonna get ramsacked. There's gonna be some crazy
That's
adventurer
too
who will
much
come
work
by.
for
Or
too
would
little
you build
reward.
a huge underground lair?
That
You
will
have
eventually.
centuries, you have all this
Oh, God.
strength or dexterity, whatever you invest in stuff.
Everything.
You know, you would have the skills to do it. It would just take time to build whatever it is you are building.
You would literally
You-
just be, don't go in that house. This crazy old man lives in that house.
There's
They say he's been here for centuries.
Yeah.
Nah, that's not possible.
That would
Look,
be
he's only like
annoying.
21 years old. Hell, if only you knew, kid.
That would be annoying to deal
I'm old
with,
enough
like,
to
all
have
the
been your
fucking
probably greatest
Immortal
ancestor.
trespass.
Yep, new anime, my
You
immortal
just invite
neighbor.
Patches over, you know, for lunch. He's like, "Oh, hey, who'd you kick off the ledge this time?" He's like, "Oh, I kicked off these, you know, losers."
This
so-
priest.
This
these
dude
priests,
called
you
himself
know.
an onion
You
knight.
would have to not invest in being, you know.
Oh, no faith.
Have to stay
You cannot have faith around Patches.
because he would fucking go after you.
But that would be the fun part, is if you built something like that and he did come over, he'd be like, yeah, I kicked some dude off an edge, called himself an onion knight, what an idiot. He'd be like, yeah, 3 more people tried raiding my castle today. I pierced their throats about 7 times each before they gave up for the day. We'll see how it happens tomorrow.
Yeah, let's see what happens tomorrow. Yeah, exactly.
There's an old writing prompt where the concept is peasants are tired of having their house raided by adventurers for supplies, so they start they start building traps, and it turns into a dungeon with them as the final boss. That's essentially what would happen. Is I'm raising a castle, so many people keep raiding it, and I get tired of fighting them on my own, that I would just start putting traps everywhere, and it would literally become a dungeon. I would become Pharaohs, essentially, where I would have so much reign over the world because I've been there for so long. Why are there so many Pharaoh's lockstones all over the place? Well, the dude's been living for like 3,000 years and had nothing better to do to mark his creations because people kept fucking with
You
him.
would get to talk to pharaohs. And,
Oh, I would get to meet
you
everyone.
know, and hang
I would get to have
Yeah,
the
you
giant
would meet
dad.
You would get-
everyone
I would
in
be
between.
giant
You would
dad
be
for a
able to wear
time.
his mask
Cycle.
and forever be
I was gonna
gone.
say, you would meet Pharaohs and also get his mask.
be wet.
I could start the
You
legend
would
of
always
Giant
be
Dad.
wet.
I already
You could
am.
just be wet
You could start the legend of
Wear
Giant
them.
Dad. It is a reality.
Yeah, you could be the giant dad. Yeah.
And then when I'm done
Now,
with
keep
that,
in
my
mind
gargoyle
that
helm
we
comes
would
back
have
on.
to- with certain rules, like Gwendolyn, you would not end up killing them because Gwendolyn lives in Dark Souls 3. So
This
the
is
world
correct.
still has to abide by what, you know, happens. You're
Future
just
sons.
a part of the story, you know? You're not drastically affecting it. Certain things do have to happen
But that's the
because
thing is,
otherwise it would affect it too much.
the only stipulation there is that technically Gwendolyn has to live. That doesn't mean you can't kill the image of Guinevere.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
still,
Which is
if you
probably
want to
the
piss
nicest
him
side.
off.
do that.
In all of Lordran, by the way.
Yeah,
It's probably the only
could
place that
totally
smells
just
good.
destroy that.
Well, out of curiosity, because that's like a fake image, a mirage essentially. If you killed it, would a scent go away too? Would it be like, this actually smells really good,
Probably.
but it's actually just a spell? You kill her and it just smells like undeath again.
Ooh, a hint of strawberries. I like that.
All of Honolulu just smells like shit.
That's to say, suddenly because
Well, I
all the
got
giants are
fucking
gone,
bad
nothing is
demons.
polished anymore.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of the bat demons disappear when you.
Oh,
you do
dude,
that.
I could be friends with a
Yeah.
giant blacksmith,
Yeah, you could be
Yep.
friends with him because he stays.
and then I could literally
You could
cry like a fucking bitch when he dies.
You could also, you know, go pet Priscilla's tail.
Oh, dude,
If
so
you
many
I'm not sure if
things.
she'd be fine with that.
So many things. Well,
You could.
you
know,
don't belong
become
here. You
friends
have no
with her.
place. Priscilla, I've been alive for 3,000 years. There is no place for me besides here. Can
Priscilla,
I please
I'm here for
pet
you.
your tail?
For
She
you,
was like,
I
"What?"
totally, like, tell me about yourself. I want to know who the fuck stuck you in here so I could go kick their ass.
Is your dad Seath? What's a Seath? I guess not. Maybe you were too young to remember. We'll still keep that in the fan theory section.
Have you ever
Is
heard
your
of
mom
footwear?
a big busty
Oh
babe
my
with a,
God.
you know, a bikini that says Guinevere on it?
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
It's got what it takes.
And
I have to say Eternally as a
So tell me
soundtrack in the
why.
Your
background.
knowledge of dark of having played, you know, Dark Souls, you know every nook and cranny.
Good
You
lord,
know,
I'd be so
you would
salty if I
know
didn't keep
of-
that knowledge. You just know that
of
you did
what
not
you
originally
remember.
live in this world. That's all that's all you knew. That would suck.
Like whatever you do currently know of Dark Souls, you would carry in there with, you know.
Question:
you
Is this
wouldn't
Dark
gain all
Souls
the
1 or Dark Souls 1
all of them.
Remastered?
What's the difference?
It's yeah. there's
Dried
no-
finger and that stuff.
Yeah, we're going with the final editions of
Okay,
them.
remaster then.
So Scholar of the First and remaster, whatever.
Dark Souls
the
3,
Dark Souls 3 one
whatever,
was.
yeah, that one. We're gonna have to revisit
Yeah,
this in 10 to
whatever.
15 years when they inevitably make Dark Souls, not the remaster, but the remake.
The
and it's
trilogy.
actually a good game.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually a good game. I should
but yeah,
I should
so
take
you
that
would-
back. Dark Souls 1 is a great game when they actually fix the bullshit because it's
Remastered
such an outdated game.
is-
Yeah,
No.
well, we're not going to talk about that.
But yeah, getting back to it, you would keep your knowledge that you have now of, yeah, and the world would be of what the most current version of it is. So
You're living
Bonfire
there
would
for
be
so long, and then our world suddenly comes out with the trilogy remaster, and you get restarted to square one.
Yeah.
Oh god, I'd be so pissed. But that's the thing is, by that
you
point,
would have to learn
time
it
time
all
works
over
differently.
again.
You would go through everything, and that's New Game Plus is when the trilogy inevitably
Yeah,
comes
that would
out in
be-
our world.
Yeah.
You
New Game
finally
Plus
you
rather
finally
than-
die.
Yeah.
You make it to the end
Yeah,
because that is my
rather
goal.
than New Game Plus be that, yeah.
What
it
would
would
keep
be
me from hollowing my goal is to
remastered.
truly make it to the end of the world until I have no choice but to die. I want to meet all these people. I want to fight all these things. I just want to live as long as possible to experience
Like
the
you
world.
make it all the way to
Ugh.
where Gale is just like has absorbed almost
exactly.
everyone.
It would get to the point where I'm
If
the
you
only one who can
again,
kill
if
Gale.
you manage to survive that.
Eventually, yeah. If I was to make it that long and I finally kill Gale and it's like, that's the end. She makes the painting. Everything goes to black. I go to sleep one night or something. Next time I wake up, I'm back in the asylum. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
the fuck just happened?
Fuck. Yeah, exactly.
Welcome back,
How
beer
you
guy.
going to Sekiro?
Yeah, I was to say, that's when we go to Bloodborne.
Or Bloodborne, yeah.
I was gonna
but
say
yeah, so-
alternative. What if the world you started in was a painting in itself?
Dun,
Oh,
dun,
sad.
dun.
Dun, dun. But yeah, so and going back to the whole Dark Souls, one thing that like you brought up, you know, romancing even Quilana and stuff like.
The romancing
you could
was more of a
totally-
joke, but yeah, it's a thing.
But you could.
You would have the
they
option.
Care about you.
It was. I was to say that was more my thing. Is that
Origin,
I
you
would.
know?
In the world of Dark Souls 1, I love the pyromancy because you don't have to invest, but it's still just so massively powerful. And I think Quilana is such a great character, despite how little she's kind of existing there. She's there for a little bit. She only says so many things. But like the concept in my mind is that she's like, you want to learn this ascended pyromancy to the point where she would be stuck with me for a certain amount of time, no matter what. And once I've like chosen to not link the flame, I would just be hanging around anyways. I would probably go hang out with
Now, we
Quilana
had
for a
to
time.
Add on that we'd have to kind of adjust how Dark Souls does it, and that rather than just buying a spell and instantly knowing how to use it, you have to actually train to use it, as you would with training with swordsmanship. You know,
Yeet.
that has to be an actual factor. You don't just know how to fucking use every weapon. You could have the stats for it, but you got to learn how to actually.
That'd be
wield
so
it.
awesome training
know?
how to use like a big sword with Siegmeyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye,
yeah.
beer guy.
You would go around learning from, actual
Greats,
masters
man.
and stuff. Yeah, that'd be great. What was
Yeah,
one of the other
but like
conditions we
any of the
had?
NPCs would be stuck with you for so long that like you would eventually form a friendship or a relationship with these people. I would hang out with Quilana a ton. I love Quilana. She's great. And then when she
Yeah.
inevitably passes away, I'd be so salty. Like I
Yeah,
knew it
'cause
was
she
coming,
will
but
definitively pass away. Yeah.
God,
You
would it
will
be
know
like
of her? You will know she ends. Yeah.
would it be like ReZero in the fact that since we have knowledge of the world, if we try to talk about it, does something stop us? Or is it just nobody
that'd be
believes you?
I think that's a fair rule. I think
It
that's a
doesn't
fair
necessarily
rule.
have to be a threatening phantom force or like the witch's curse
causes
grabs
you
my
to stop.
heart. I was say you just suddenly lose
Yeah.
your voice for that moment, like when you get so nervous
It
that
is
you literally cannot
impossible
get
for
words to
you.
form.
Umbra,
It is
mastery
impossible
rank
for you
19.
Oh, not bad.
to reveal what you know.
Okay. You'd be like, oh,
anyone.
can you train me on? And she'd be like, what? How do you see me? And I'd be like, skill.
Skill. I know things. But yeah, we also gotta add, like, you know, Logan. He goes
Oh
insane.
my
learning,
God, Logan.
Knowledge.
Learning.
Imagine
No.
fighting
reading
naked
all his
Logan.
books and stuff. You have the chance of actually going insane if you were to try to do the same thing. Everything that can happen, is potential for you. You are not immune to these rules.
God, what would poison and toxic feel like?
It probably hurt like hell. We already talked about how, like, if you fell, you wouldn't break your legs, but you would feel
Yeah.
the sensations of it.
We talked
all
about
the
that at the start.
sensations of it.
Well, that's the thing. Did we
So
talk
with
about what
poison, I
sorcery
imagine
would
the
feel
same
like in this
thing.
too? Or was that before the recording?
Yeah, we
Extreme
talked
way
about how,
just to
like,
say,
we
what
weren't
would it
sure
be
whether
like
it'd
to
be
be
burning
Deadpool?
or not.
Loosely. But can you imagine that? It's like, all right, I'm poisoned from walking in a swamp. I now have no choice but to eat moss if I want to
Yeah,
cure
you
this
had-
in a timely
You have
manner.
to scarf moss down, and if you're you're fighting like Ornstein and Smo, and you gotta chug that Estus, you gotta chug that Estus. You're
I was
gonna
saying,
feel it.
that's the next thing is like one chug of
have to
Estus for like
chug-
one tap of X. How much is that? Is that like a full cup essentially of a beverage that you have to chug down? But the Estus flask is the Estus flask, so it's just it's filled 15 times, sort of a thing.
I
Like you have to.
assume so,
Oh God, that's insane.
My rebuttal to
I
that is
assume.
I've
You would
gotten
get
good at chugging.
I was to say you would get so good at chugging. I would actually hold chugging
Yeah.
contests to like get
You
gold.
would be able to, like, just deep throat that shit. You just lean back, goes down. and what?
Yeah, you
Well,
would.
at
that
Your
rate,
taste buds
you're
would
like,
also
I'm
die
done.
at that point. You have to eat so much crazy shit.
Hold on, could we
Yeah.
just, at that rate, just eviscerate our intestines when that shit becomes numb? And just place the Estus flask inside our stomachs preemptively?
Like a robot placing a power source
I'm
source
gonna
into
say
its
no, 'cause
chest.
that's really
Yeah, no,
exploding.
that's fucked. But that's
You're
funny.
still bound by
You
the
just cut
rules
yourself
of
open, place the
game.
Estus flask in, and then kill yourself. I am now
Yep.
one with the Estus. You rest at the bonfire,
I
and
am
your
with the
your
Estus.
stomach just gets warm, and you're like, yes, this is good.
This is a good feeling. I'm glad I did this.
I am the sun. Yeah, no.
I
So
am
yeah,
the
you would
sun.
have to chug that down. You eventually get used to it, but you know, you're going in as you are. It's gonna be difficult the first long while getting used
No.
to that.
My problem with
gonna
that
be-
is no. For me, it won't be hard. Because I've had to chug that chalky shit they give you for
Oh yeah.
MRIs.
Yup.
And I've had to do that
Yeah.
a lot. So I think I'd be
But we
fine
don't know
with
how
chugging at the
S's
start.
taste, so it could taste
I
like
don't
shit.
care.
I was gonna say that's the
It
thing
could
is
taste
like
worst, and I'll still do it.
It
to
can
some
make you
people it would
wanna
taste good, to some
vomit.
people it would not taste good at all. My hope is it just
Yeah.
tastes like a soup broth essentially.
Now the question is can you
Blueberry
you know,
flavored
is
soup
some
broth.
stuff-
Oh
My rebuttal to
god.
that is there is
flavoring
Estus
in
soup.
there?
Yeah,
It
that's
is
just
blatantly
that's
called
yeah.
Estus
That's
soup.
exactly why I think
Yeah,
it would
soup.
have some
It's
sort of
basically
brothy
soup, yeah.
property.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, okay, if we had to give a flavor to
Uh,
Estus, what would you think? Would it be more sweet? Would it be savory? Would it be just
I
water
kinda just
flavor
think
or
it'd be like- At
orange
this point, I
tinted
think
water?
it'd be just like sunshine soup or whatever, you know. It'd be glorious.
There are those like nerd
That's my
cookbooks where people
assumption.
like actually try to make things in games. I have no doubt that Estus.
Sunset.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have no doubt that Estus and/or Estus Soup has been in one of those at this point. Hey, I got Tentacle Swarm.
Now I also
Yeah,
want to
hentai.
discuss. Imagine having to fight those bosses. You know, we're used to Dark Souls over the shoulder, but you're in first person doing this.
Yeah,
You
that'll
are
be hard.
looking at them.
That's why I'm waiting on
towering over you.
VR Dark Souls, baby.
You know, Yorm the Giant is just towering.
But can you
Same
imagine
goes
how
for the
badass
giant.
it would feel to slap him down with Storm Ruler?
Exactly. Yeah, it'd
I
be
was gonna
great, but
say,
like,
Sigurd's
you
gonna
could
be pulling all the
stomped
fucking
on.
attention.
Like they could just stomp on you and you're dead. You're just
Not if
Well,
I
no,
spec
back
for
to the
health,
bonfire.
baby.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't kill you if you actually have any
Like-
health invested into.
If you have enough health, but it's still gonna you're gonna be under their foot, you know, having to wait for him to fucking lift it up. 'Cause the other rule is that the one mechanic that doesn't exist is the invulnerability frames of, you know, rolling. You gotta legit roll.
Oh
this shit
god,
out
you
of
would
the
have to be
way.
so fast.
Yeah, you gotta learn to actually dodge shit.
Wait, what about Dark Souls 2 where I can spec for invulnerability frames?
We're
disgust
gonna
me.
throw that out the window because in this instance, you gotta learn how to fucking dodge it. You know, you gotta dodge it and
That's not useful.
you know, you get knocked down, you gotta wait, you gotta stand the fuck back up and have the chance of getting wailed on
Oh
again.
my god.
Yeah, you gotta tough this shit out. You're getting all the other perks, but you gotta learn to tough that out.
I'm telling you,
So-
man. Going with game mechanics, I would absolutely start in Dark Souls 1 and poise, boys.
I agree.
Poise.
Oh yeah, you would. You
A
could
sword
build
just
the poise to
plunges
be
through
able
my
to-
entire body, but I'm still held together and I'm still slapping the shit out of the kings. You can't stop this.
Or even
Become
if you
giant.
get stomped on, you could just have enough poise and strength to just hold that foot up.
That's insane.
Yeah. You would
Okay,
be
so
strong
that's
enough to do
translating
that.
game mechanics into some sort of real life like sense. So poise would essentially be your
Yeah.
ability to withstand the attack, which means because poise is dependent on armor, at least it makes somewhat sense in the first game, the armor would essentially stop the sword. Instead of having it like in the Four Kings fight where the sword
Yeah.
really phases through you and you just keep going because poise. So poise, if you were to go from Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 3 without respecting it, you held on to that poise, essentially, because you have not respected and gone to the mechanics of the current game world, so to speak, and you were running around in Havels, he would try to stomp you, and you would just hold his foot there like, you son of a bitch. You're not that big a giant. Dude, I'm telling you,
Yeah,
I would try to be
pretty
friends
much.
with so many NPCs. It would be insane. But like, so I hear you're not
Well, you
trying
could maybe
to...
try to be friends with bosses.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I would immediately go to Yorn and be like, dude, I feel you. I've been alive so much longer than you. You have no idea. And he'd be trying to kill
Yeah,
me, and I'd just be
exactly.
running around the arena or catching his foot or whatever, just talking to him.
His Sigma.
Become giant.
You could be the one he gives. Well, nah. In
Nah,
this
that would have
instance,
already
it's,
happened.
I would have prefaced that, you know,
I'd say in the same vein that
Certain
we
things
can't,
still have to happen.
yeah, in the same vein that we can't talk about the future, certain events have to occur no matter what. You can't try to
Yeah.
replace an NPC in somebody else's story, so to speak.
yeah, their rules have to still abide. You are filling the role of what, you know, you are in actual
So,
Dark Souls.
yeah,
or
so
any
it would
quest
get to the
lines
point,
happen.
like, you're still in the world dicking off in whatever way, and then eventually you get called to that point in the world. So no matter what, Sigurd would have had to run into Yorm and had to become good friends, and then eventually get brought back because he won't link it. So you can't try to replace him, so to speak.
Yeah. But you
You-
can go still.
I want to be
during
friends.
those
It would
that
become a
time frame
Dark Souls
when
dating
he's-
simulator if I tried hard enough. Jesus. I want to be friends with
you
all of
could
them. You have to
make
kill
it
them.
so,
Try
like,
me.
To, you could go meet them both in, you know, when they were alive and stuff,
Oh,
and
that'd be
actually befriend them there. But
badass.
again, you cannot interfere with their relationship.
How
and
sick would it be
supersede
being
their
in the
roles.
world, specifically being in that area of the world when the profane flames suddenly just murdered everyone?
Yeah, yeah. Then
You could
would
get
just,
killed by it, but
know,
you would come back. But Jesus, being able to witness an event like that would
in that
be disturbing.
We got to keep in mind that actually, in that instance, between cycles, I assume there are no bonfires. So
I'm gonna
gotta-
craft my
you're
own as I go. Holy
basically-
crap.
You had to learn to survive and not get killed in between cycles, else you're that is an opportunity for permadeath. Between cycles, you have a chance of permadeath, getting off for good if you die by any means.
I feel like nobody in their right mind would actually attempt to be an adventurer at that point. Then you want to make sure you're living between the cycles if you can't stop people from doing that.
Yeah, you would do.
You gotta play
Patches
safe, man. You
does.
gotta play the long con. Every single day, you gotta keep
I
yourself
imagine
sane
what
and
Patches
remind
does is
yourself.
Yeah, he
Like,
goes.
hey, I'm
Patches
here.
probably goes quiet for a good, century and just blends in with everyone. And then when the next, one rolls around, he's like, "Oh man, now I get to go dick with everyone again."
I would say, but that's the thing is towards the end, the closer you get to the end of the world, like reaching from Dark Souls 2 to Dark Souls 3, the cycles get faster and faster and faster because the fire gets weaker. So eventually,
Yeah, it does. And
if you can make it to Dark Souls 2,
3, it does go dark.
if you can make it to Dark
the
Souls
world
2,
goes dark,
you've already done
legit.
most of the work right there.
Yeah.
I think it's like the
Yeah, you've made
concept
it in
of
good ways.
Jesus, I think it's like being 25 means you're already closer to 50 than you are to like 1 or some crazy. I definitely have the numbers wrong, but it's something along those lines where it's like if you
Yeah.
made it to Dark Souls 2, you're already closer to Dark Souls 3 than you are to 1 at this point. You've made it so much
Yeah.
further, you are perfectly fine. I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. But keep in mind that at some point,
Making it there.
someone has to light the fire. It doesn't have
Yeah, I
to
can't
be
stop
you,
everyone.
but
There's no
someone-
way in hell.
Someone will, by default, link that fire. The world can move forward because you have to be able
It
to get
has to.
to the end of Dark Souls 3. Whether it's you or not is, it doesn't matter. Obviously, it's not going to be because you want to live to the end. But yeah, you're going to be, working your way up there. You got to fight almost everyone, pretty much, or you could just completely ignore them and just. But in that instance, you're not going to be leveling, up easily.
See, I'm waiting for that
You're just
one
gonna have to
person
be
to come in
killing
and be
with
like,
poor
yeah, why
food."
would I be a warrior when I can just be a shopkeeper the rest of my life? Why take the hard
Yeah,
route?
you could just do that.
Why
You
take the
could
hard
just
route?
go and be the merchant for all the people who go to link the fire.
Well, that's the thing. This
You're
is
like,
obviously even more hypothetical at this point. If you started in Dark Souls 1,
Uh-huh.
collected as much shit as you could, made it to Dark Souls 3, could you sell somebody Dark Souls 1 equipment?
I'm gonna, because I didn't really care too much for the fact that our gear from Dark Souls 1 disappears. I think everything should still exist in the world. It's just whether you can find it or not. So like in the idea of like Dark Souls, like bringing your gargoyle helm
Hell
to
yeah.
Dark Souls 3.
That's coming with me to the end of the world, baby.
Like, no one can really. They'd be hard pressed to find that. But if you yourself had brought one with you and managed to upkeep it for all those centuries, then you're good to go. It's usable. I think that would be a fair thing, even though we don't have access to it. You can still,
I would say after a certain point, those gargoyles just stop existing, so you can't necessarily kill for more. Maybe there are some lying around the world if you get lucky and you know where to look. Like you go to where Lordran at one point was, somehow. Maybe there are others, but
pretty
then
much.
there's also the fact that because bonfires and stuff exist, you can just exploit how the world works. And like I said, my strategy was going to be I'd be farming endlessly in front of Nito before the world goes to a bad spot, so I make sure I'm strong enough that I can do whatever I want without having to respec later on down the road. But that means if I was crazy enough, which it would become just a daily thing where I'd be like, all right, I start my day with some morning stretches, I go and murder baby skeletons for 4 hours, Like, there's a daily thing. And then once it's like, all right, I think I have enough souls. I think I'm strong enough that, like, I've maxed out everything. Good Lord, that would be, like, years of your life, probably. You would get to that point where it'd be like, all right, I can't level up anymore. I might as well go start farming the gargoyles for a little bit. So I have, like, thousands of helms that I could hold on to me until the end of the world. So if I'm not smart enough to repair these in time, I can just immediately grab the next one. It's like one of the latest episodes of My Hero Academia, and it's also a thing in Blue Exorcist, which I find funny as well. Tenya in My Hero, they like go into his room and they're like, "Wow, this is so normal," and then he has like 20 pairs of glasses on the wall. That would be me with the gargoyle helms.
Yeah.
Somebody would come into my house and I would just have gargoyle helms lining a wall, and they'd be like, "Man, you really like that helmet?" And I'd be like, "I spent years getting all of these."
Years. You don't know how long.
You know how I'm going to stoke the flame? You know how I'm going to stoke the flame? They'd be like, all right, you have enough souls. You definitely should be the fire that keeps this world going forever. Yeah, about that. And then I just start materializing gargoyle helms and whipping them into the fire.
Now, you gotta keep in mind that you gotta, you'll become powerful enough that, people will...
Oh, yeah, that would be
notice
wild,
that,
though. Can you imagine?
and
You
in
would
the
be
same
so strong.
instance
You could be an eternal fire.
Aldrich. But like Aldrich, like they forced him to do that against his will. So if you manage to get captured, you could be forced to be sacrificed. You know,
Yeah, that's fair.
they could try and make you if you're
That's exactly
that
why
much
I'm
of a
saying
pushover.
I would definitely be playing or laying low the entire time between cycles. And then when it comes up, when it's necessary, I would definitely be interested in adventuring. But if anybody was ever around me, I definitely would not want to act terribly competent if I don't have to. Like, I wouldn't want to make it obvious that I am disgustingly powerful, because I understand how this world works. I would definitely just be like, I'm a competent enough guy, but I'm not all powerful like you don't realize I am. I could incinerate all of you. Is it
All
nighttime,
of
by the
you.
way? Is it
Yeah.
already time for Eidolon hunting?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It should be. Let me check. Yes.
Well, I
oh,
will
wow.
be right back in the
We-
meantime.
We're
Wow.
at 35 minutes. So
Oh, wow. So we can get
Oh.
3
we
in.
we can try doing the actual bounty.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Hold on, I gotta
But I will be right
do
back.
this. Okay. Now the question is would we? This is a potential rule. Would we put a level cap on it? You know.
I mean, the level
'Cause
cap, in my
there- a
opinion, would
point
be when
where
you max
it's
out your
too
stats.
Powerful.
I think the
So
level cap is
you
just
could
the
go
actual
all the
level
way to
cap.
9.
Yeah, if somebody
You could have
that does
99
this
everything.
is crazy enough to take the time to always be farming to the point where they max themselves out, then I don't see why we should stop them. Eventually, you will plateau in your abilities, and I say that's where the level cap is. Because it, like, even in gaming sense, it makes sense to the point where there are soft caps where, like, all right, I have reached 60 strength. I am very strong, but even just getting to the next point in strength, in reality, being able to lift that next 10 pounds is going to start getting slower and slower. It's going to start mattering less and less because nothing weighs that much anymore. So, like, it makes sense that by the point you hit that maxed out, like, 99, why would you go any further? There's really no reason. There's nothing, like, heavy enough for you to lift to keep getting stronger at that point, so to speak. Like, going specifically off strength. So, like, I feel like the specific caps that the game already has set in place specifically should be the ones that we roll with. And that's where it kind of rolls back to the fact that I'd be farming mini skeletons.
Yeah.
They endlessly spawn, they spawn fast enough, they die in one hit, they give a decent amount of souls. Oh no, Arides. No.
What?
I just realized the worst part of Dark Souls 1.
What? What is the downside?
You only get 2 rings. Dude, you would get to Dark Souls 2 and you can't have 4 rings unless you respec, but then you lose your ability to just have pyromancy on like a number. Oh no, actually Dark Souls 2 it kind of sticks with that, but oh no.
You would have to abide by the inventory, the stats, the rules of Dark Souls 1. Your ring of favor would break the moment you take it off.
Oh, the fap
and you
ring,
would
no.
lose it for
I would honestly,
eternity.
I was to say, in that situation of like, I'm starting at the beginning of the world, I would probably never actually attempt to wear the fap ring.
Yeah, you would only use it in an emergency or something.
I really need the stat boost, and then I guess I'm either stuck with it or if it falls off, well, I can't
Yeah,
respawn him. I can't get another.
yeah, it's just done.
Oh God,
Yeah, oh, God, that would be
that's so
painful.
gross. But that mean at the same
It's
time, I could run through Dark Souls 3 Swamp with the wood grain ring, or not the wood grain ring, the rusted iron ring. And I could run through the
yeah,
lava
you
in Dark
could.
Souls 3 for the pyromancy and stuff with the orange shard ring, something I complained that we didn't have. Both of those rings I thought should have come back. Mind you, in Dark Souls 3,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
lava doesn't matter as much. It was more the first time through, and just in general, I think it's ridiculous how you're supposed to get those. But, like,
agreed.
being able to have them there is just a simple thing like, oh yeah, I have a ring for this. Just pop it on, walk through lava like, wow, my feet haven't felt this toasty in a while. I don't miss that, and then never do it again.
I don't miss that. Yeah. There's definitely downsides to certain aspects of it, but yeah, no, I still definitively would choose Dark Souls 1. And yeah, it would be. It'd be so daunting walking into that room and having this Astradium and jump down and being like, oh, holy fuck.
Oh yeah, at the
I'm
start, no
gonna
matter
have to
which game you
whack this
pick,
meat.
no matter which game you
It's gonna be
pick at the
painful.
start, you're gonna like. I think it's just gonna be so mentally taxing. Being able to hold yourself together long enough just to get used to it is gonna be the biggest struggle. But once you've gotten used to it, as long as you keep yourself like within a routine for the most part, I think you'd be fine. I
Who
think
was
you
the
would be able to
first
make it
in
further and
Dark
further.
Souls? Was it Pursuer?
What?
I
The
think
first boss in
for
Dark
Dark
Souls
Souls
2?
2, like you can go to
Um,
the
I'm
Heights
back
Tower
down.
the
of Pain,
last
but we're gonna go
giant.
by the logic of going to. Oh yeah, okay, so
The
last
last
giant. But
giant
you
is generally
could
the first one
do,
I run into. Yeah, technically you could choose to go to a different path. But that's the thing, is because you're in that
and you
world, you
could
have the
just
option. You have the option to pick
yeah,
whoever you
you
want to
don't,
pick.
yeah,
If the world is
by
open to you
the
going in that direction, you can choose to go
yeah,
that direction for the time being. So,
yeah.
but in Dark
But
Souls
would
1
I think
and
it'd be
Dark Souls
fair to
3, you
say that
have
there's
no
no.
choice.
I
Yeah,
would say
pretty
there's
much.
no like barrier, so you could go just straight over a hill or something. I
I
think
could do
that's
my
fair
I could
game.
I could, as soon as Dark Souls 1 world starts and I'm in there, if I can actually make it out of the asylum in a timely manner, when I make it out, I can immediately make my stupid run, go grab 3 souls, Firekeeper souls, and immediately have a boost to get slaughtered so many times. Like, but I'm gonna do it a little bit slower.
Mm,
I'm gonna last just
yeah.
that much longer. Yikes.
Oh God, it's yeah,
Nick, I
it's
came to a
daunting.
revelation.
Mm,
If I never respect after Dark Souls 1, I could only use 2 rings.
yep.
It's painful.
True
Just
pain.
that thought.
True pain.
But I still
Alright.
would want to see everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My pick is definitely starting in Dark Souls 1. I
Yeah.
wanna
Yeah.
I
Are
wanna
you
start from the
sticking though
beginning.
with Dark Souls 2 now?
Yes.
You're,
I will
you're
stick
sticking with
with two.
Dark Souls 2.
Even
Ugh.
after
I
all
don't
that
really care enough
discussion?
for one though. That's the thing.
I don't care enough for 1 either. It's more just the concept that I want to start from the beginning and see the world as it progresses. The opportunity to watch
Yeah.
all that, to meet all those people, to have all those experiences sounds so cool to me.
See, I
Yeah.
feel as though I would crack if it was that repetitive, and I would just hollow there. If it's millennias of just meeting people, watching them go, meeting new people, I'm sure I will get to the point where I'm like, this is so fucking upsetting. What is the point?
Well, yeah, but that's going to be the same even. So at that point, you would rather be better
Yeah, but
off
there's
choosing Dark
less
Souls
time.
3. You'd be better choosing
Dark
Dark Souls
Souls
3
3,
at that
there's like
point.
nobody
Oh,
though.
actually, no. Yeah, but your issue is that you don't want
But
to
again,
see
I don't
people
want to do
going.
3. I want to do 3. I'd rather start at 2. That way I at least meet more people, and for the prior reasons of I have way more flexibility in leveling, and I have more help in general from NPCs, which would then be
Only
actual
where
people.
they're summonable.
Yeah.
So you like at the start,
I could
you're
roll
still
with
gonna have a
Steelheart,
bitch of a
Ellie.
time. You're gonna have a real difficult time.
Oh
at the
no.
start.
Jeez, the amount of times you would attempt to fight Fume Knight with Steelheart.
Mhm.
She would get
But
so
that's
tired of you
yeah.
summoning her, she'd be like, stop. You'd be like, please help me, Ellie. I can't take
You
getting
just keep
sliced by
dying,
this
just-
anymore. But can you imagine coming from Dark Souls 1 into Dark Souls 2 and having the poise required to just grab the Fume Knight's sword as he swings it at you, stare at him in the eyes, and
yeah.
establish dominance? I'm the alpha here.
You just like he swings his sword at you, and just fucking hold it, and just like you're basically at that point becoming the soul of Cinder. You've probably gotten close to the tier after that amount of time. Though I think we had to actually scale it back to the point where you're
All the way
more
back.
just like patches. I think you got to be more in that instance of patches where you're not that OP. You know, you've managed to make it through the millennia, but something has to give. You can't be just Soul of Cinder God tier.
Aw, you're nerfing me.
Yeah, I have to, because, you know, we gotta keep it. Patches is the only one who has lived throughout the entire game, and he's remained the same.
But that's the thing is he doesn't care about being strong. The dude just wants to screw
Yeah, he
people
doesn't
over
care
because he
about
wants to
being
live.
strong, yeah.
If I care about being strong, why should I be punished for it? If I want to make sure I'm strong
Yeah.
enough to take care of myself to the end of the world and I take the time to farm that, I don't think I should be robbed of it when the world keeps going. The world keeps going and it changes
Again,
from
you gotta
time to
keep in
time,
mind
but
that
I
the
don't have
more
to
you
change.
Die,
The
more you
more-
die, you're gonna lose your sanity.
But that's the thing is that's just a mental struggle and concept. If I am mentally strong enough, I can hold myself together long enough. Fuck, I forgot to do that, Nick. I'm sorry. If I am
Fine.
mentally strong enough and find a way to root myself down, I can definitely keep myself sane enough. Sure, it's gonna suck complete ass the entire time. I die, I'm gonna get pissed off, I'm gonna be like, that hurt like shit. But if I know something that will mentally root me down, be my anchor, I will be fine. I can die as many times as
But
I
that's
want,
the
so
thing
long
is
as I can
that
think
how
of
it's
it.
structured is that you're just losing memories and stuff. The more you die, it's just things just keep deleting from your, you know, database, you know?
Well, that's where
Just
it's gonna
look
go
at
to the next
I
step.
call the Dark Souls 2
Oh, the opening
you know,
is wild.
The way the main characters had very vague memories. Couldn't even recall the face of, you know, the ones he loved, and that's just it. You just, the more you die, the more you lose that kind of shit. I assume with Patches, he hardly died.
I mean, but that's
other than a few instances.
But that's the thing is that never in the game mechanics, because it's just a game. Nobody's gonna care about that as the
yeah. But
in the game.
we're thinking
You
about
can't
it,
record your
yeah.
memories. I couldn't like take a picture or like have somebody draw a portrait of people I care
Yeah.
about. You can't write down these memories. That's something I would immediately do to counteract it. I would love to carry around stuff like that. That's why I'm like, I would be writing down all the history of these kingdoms. I'd be writing down the experiences I had with all these people, because then it's something I can look back with if I am truly struggling to remember certain things, and I can give myself some sort of concept. Like, there are ways that we have benefit over that we can think these through. There are ways around it.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Come here, Bombalist. God, I can't aim right now. I'm so focused on just talking. Oh no.
Yeah.
Get
He's
away.
just gonna record because you're quite a ways away, Nick, so
Hey,
I just
man.
ended up pushing him.
Yeah. Oh, hey. Hello.
Ideas to where? Oh, behind you, Nick.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm gonna keep coming this way anyway.
I
Oh, yeah, 'cause you gotta
my
pick up the-
choice 100% is to start in Dark Souls 1 because I want to see the entire world as it goes through its cycles.
Mhm.
And I want to meet all those people. My idea for rooting myself down to like help make it to the end is that I don't want to die on any terms but my own, and the fact that I want to make it to the end and watch the world as it evolves. I want to see why that there truly is no other choice but for the world to end like this, and for people to essentially escape to that painting that the little girl makes.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name. It's actually been that long since I've given a shit
She
about
didn't have
three.
a name.
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah,
was. But I thought they had
everyone
like a
just called
pseudo name for her, like the painting girl.
We
or some
just call her
stupid like that.
Arya.
Yeah, that was it.
Arya is what the community called her.
Like that's my like, cause Patches is just like, I want to punish the greedy, and that's the simplest way, because there will always be greedy people in the world. My simplest way is that I want to make it to the end of the world until I have no choice but to die, because I want to witness all these things and understand why this has to be the way it is. And I feel like starting at Dark
Yeah.
Souls 1 will give me the best perspective on it. I get to meet crazy people, I get to do crazy things. It's going to be painful a lot of the time, but it'll be worth it. I can record history, live all this crazy life, use an iron golem axe,
Now,
wear
here's
a gargoyle
another
helm.
aspect of that. Would you be allowed to go to, say, the Ring City, like in Dark Souls 1? If you could find the way to it,
Oh yeah, that's
would
true.
you
Would
be
it
able to go
I
there?
was would it exist back then? Yes, that's part of the lore.
Yeah. 'cause when
I don't
put
see why
Geralt's
not.
daughter there,
Yeah. I don't see why that
you could
wouldn't be
see
a
Nadir in
possible
his
thing.
prime.
Yikes. Yikes.
Yeah.
That's disturbing to think
Exactly.
about. Please don't. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't say you can't. It's not like being there. As long as you don't kill anyone, you can't ruin anything. So as long as none of
Yeah.
your actions would prevent the world from going and being as it was,
You could just live there the entire time.
that would be wild.
You know, for all time.
You could
and
use the
then
cursed
eventually-
monument and keep yourself going no matter what.
Yep.
Reverse your hollowing on the
could.
monument if needed.
You know, just keep yourself going for all eternity.
Where's the recording at right now?
While you know the.
You're at an
chosen
hour, 5
undead-
minutes.
Oh, nice. Well, the
Can you
chosen
imagine all the
undead
travelers
goes in-
that you would come across and you never know which one of them is actually the chosen undead, essentially?
chosen-
Which one of them actually makes it to
Yeah.
that point if you choose not to do it yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the thing, is all
You
three of
just-
them, you can be the chosen
watch.
undead, the one who sits on the throne, you can also be the ashen one. Because you always have that option to
Or you
not
can-
necessarily link the fire, which means you can
Yeah.
still live on. You can walk out and keep going on with your life. Which is also
Yeah.
that's why we have to have Scholar of the First Sin, because you technically can't do that in the base version.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you choose not to be it, that means somebody else will come to take that place, and that would be really interesting to see how many people it would take before one of them actually becomes that person.
You could just sit at the kiln, you know, like Nassandra's
I'm
there,
telling you,
just
if
like,
I was strong enough to
"Fuck
make
are
it that
you doing
far, and I wasn't feeling too petty to actually fight people off it, because I know it's inevitable. Someone's going to be stronger than me, or I'm going to play stupid, get too cocky, whatever will happen. Somebody will get past me. It's just how the world's going to work. It would be interesting to see who does come and see it, and if they would talk to me and be like, why didn't you do it? Because I don't think I'm good enough. I don't know. Something stupid, whether it's true or bullshit, just to say, all right, you go do it, man. I will
You
write
act
my
like
sign
the
here.
crestfallen
That would
knight,
be
but
so
secretly
funny.
you're not.
Yeah, I would, dude. Yikes.
You just
Can you
sitting there
imagine?
just like, oh,
Yeah, sitting there, I'd be like, well, I don't think I'm good enough, but I would like to help you make sure you do it. And I would just walk in front of them, be like, nice to meet you, shake their hand, write my sign directly in front of them, summon me. And they'd be like, what? I'm like, can't you just walk in with me? No, that's not how this world works, don't you know? You gotta summon me.
You gotta summon me. Yeah, pretty much.
Summon me.
That'd be great. But like, you could just, you know, Sandra's whole goal is to get the door to be opened. But you could just be giving her the middle finger by killing all of the, preventing the chosen undead, each chosen undead from getting.
I could play a very sick game of tag with her, essentially. A very
Every time
messed
it
up
says
game.
you
We're
pick the
both
chosen
so
undead,
messed up.
You just fucking come up there and just like, no.
Here, let me help you out, and then just push him off the cliff. But that's the thing, is you could pull a
Yeah.
Seath.
Or you just-
could pull a Seath on
Just
people.
capture all of them. You become like the Iron King, and you just capture all the chosen undead and imprison
That's
them.
what I'm saying, is you could become Seath, essentially. You could take a page from Seath, you could place a bonfire
Yeah.
somewhere, have them rest at it, say, hey, this is
lock
good for
people
you,
in there.
and then essentially lock them in a place that they can never escape.
Yeah.
You can make it so that no one who's crazy enough to talk to you or work with it can make it. You could very effectively prevent things for a long time.
Also,
You want to
like-
stop the world from working? Have fun, man. You can be that guy. We've gone on for an hour just essentially saying rules and hypotheticals that add to the scenario in the stupidest of
It's
fashions.
great.
Like, I'm sitting here like, I think it's probably time that we just give a definitive answer and our reasons, and it's like, but this, and it's like, oh, you're right.
This. You're right. It's a
Oh
good
my
idea.
god.
Now, oh, actually, speaking of which, could you serve in any of the kingdom's armies?
Oh,
like, could you
absolutely.
become a Boreal Knight, or could you, you know, be for any of them? Also, we need to go to the lake. From what I understand, I don't know exactly how it works, but that's where we go.
I don't see why you couldn't serve in the armies, no matter how good you are. Inevitably, the other ones will come up, like, for Boreal, so to speak. Eventually, Pontiff will rise, and then he'll, no matter what, he'll have to pick those two. Or, like, all of the ones that he gives rings, essentially, and morphs and stuff. He will always pick them, because it's not like you being there is going to stop them from being great.
Yeah.
You're just also there, and he just ends up not choosing you.
Yeah.
It's, you know.
Oh man, you could just like, you could meet Pontiff in the painted world as he
Oh
was
my
a child, and then just like, you're like, oh hey, and then just like a century later when he's, you know, in the cathedral,
Hey man, long time no see, and then just stab him
here?
right through the heart.
Yeah, exactly.
He starts pulling out his wild magic, and it'd be like, nah, man, that's not the right universe. Your stand power does not work here. Yeah. So, is there any other stipulations or we need to put on here?
No, I
There's one.
think that's all we can think of at the moment, and that's all where the conversation needs to go. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. You know, you and I are on see the thing through to the end. Nick wants to do Dark Souls 2 so he can have an easier time.
Yeah.
It's completely understandable, but scrub.
Oh jeez.
That was my first thought with Dark Souls 2, is that I don't like that. Is that you can easily have these. It's just the easiest time in terms of leveling and getting as many levels as possible.
But if
Oh,
we
I didn't
think
even.
about it, also,
Oh,
Dark
wow.
Souls 3 is pretty easy outside of.
Oh yeah,
Meteor.
absolutely. That was my next thought, is that Dark Souls 2 is the easiest one to level up in, but Dark Souls 3 is just the easiest game in general, where I can blow through without trying. Exceptional.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be
Healers
an
actually
adventure.
did start taking damage that time.
Okay, so he stayed. So I think we're fine.